Hey there, Discoverers! Welcome to FES, home to the largest and oldest Medina in the world. In today's vlog, we're taking you deep into the Medina, peppered with stunning architecture, maze-like alleys, hidden gems, and our honest experience discovering this fascinating city. If you've ever been to FES or planning a trip to go, drop us a line. We'd love to hear your tips and stories. We took the train from Marrakesh, which offered a scenic ride through the Moroccan countryside. We've already covered this leg of the journey, and if you want to know more about traveling from one city to another in Morocco, then check out Ellie's blog for tips on how to navigate the easy way. Our very first impressions of FES were great. The train arrived on time, and so did our ride. Then it took a slight dip, with our Riyadh experience, which I won't go over again in this vlog. All of it was neatly documented in our Marrakesh to FES vlog. And if you're interested, we'll leave the link up here in the right-hand corner. Our first morning in FES started out great, with a rooftop breakfast and blessed with delicious food and a gorgeous view of the city. Then it was off to discover FES, with the help of Google Maps. Our Airlo and Holofly internet have been great for us so far in Morocco. It made navigating the Medinas impressively easy. Check out our links, which come with a small discount. FES is home to the oldest Medina in the world, with more than 9,000 alleyways. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a full-blown maze, where even Google Maps struggles. Here's a quick resume of places we visited. Bab Boujloud, also known as the Blue Gate. Al-Qarawiyyin University. Local souks with spices, fabrics, and pottery. A visit at the Shuada Tannery. Saffarin place where they make items out of copper, and so much more. Stay tuned for all these destinations. One of the most photographed landmarks in FES is the main gate called Bab Boujloud. It marks the beginning of our walking adventure through the oldest Medina in the world. And if you're also using Google Maps, it's a good idea to pin this spot as your reference point. For us, this made perfect sense, since our Riyadh was located 5 minutes away. Bab Boujloud, also known as the Blue Gate, is one of the most iconic landmarks in FES. But it's not as old as it looks. Built in 1913 during the French Protectorate, this ornate gateway was designed to impress visitors entering the ancient Medina. Its outer side features blue tiles symbolizing FES and knowledge, while the inner side is green, representing Islam. The gate leads directly to Talaa Kebira, the main artery of the world's largest car-free Medina. Well, we say car-free, but don't be surprised if you notice a few mopeds, bikes, and motorcycles roaming around. Beyond its beauty, Bab Boujloud is a key orientation point. So if ever you get lost in the Medina's 9,000 alleyways, this is the place to come back to. That way you can easily access your Riyadh or take a taxi to where you need to go. A short walk away is the Bou Inania Madrasa. This is one of the few religious sites in Morocco that non-Muslims can enter. The craftsmanship here is unreal. Every corner is photo-worthy. If you're wondering whether there's more to see beyond the courtyard, the answer is no and yes. While the upper floor and minaret aren't open to visitors, the inner courtyard is the main architectural highlight, and it's absolutely stunning. It gives you a perfect glimpse into Morocco's Marinid design brilliance. If you've been to the Ben Youssef Madrasa in Marrakesh, you'll notice a familiar feel here. Both share Morocco's signature Islamic design. But Bou Inania came earlier. during the Marinid dynasty and also functioned as a mosque. It's a beautiful example of how architecture evolved over the centuries while keeping its spiritual essence. We spent a good amount of time here, exploring various sections, and found a woman tourist sitting on the floor in the room with her camera. She looked so peaceful and without a care in the world. Ellie spoke with her and found out that she was planning to stay in Fez for over 1 week. The woman also mentioned that she hired a private guide to take her to hidden spots in the city, for her to capture some great shots. That resonated with me. I could see myself doing the same thing, slowing down traveling to a beat where I could witness so much more. And we're now starting to adopt what's called slow travel. We left Bou Inania and headed east into the Medina. Talaa Kebira is one of the main arteries of the Medina. It's busy, colorful, and full of surprises. One of our favorite things to do here is get lost, but not to the point of no return. Walking down Talaa Kebira is a full sensory experience. It's the beating heart of Fez. Spices in the air, copper being hammered in the distance, and ancient walls watching you pass by. This street hasn't changed much in centuries, and that's exactly why it's so special. Walking through Talaa Kebira feels like stepping back in time, and not just for Morocco. This street has been alive since the 9th century, making it older than many of Europe's most famous historic centers. What's even more impressive, it's still lived in and walked daily, just like it was over 1,000 years ago. We navigated onward and passed countless merchants. Even found a woman that appeared in the Michelin tourist guide. The avenue continued on, but the Nejjarine Square caught our attention. It's full of history and seconds away from the Nejjarine Museum, surrounded by intricate woodwork. And a bit further is one of Fez's tanneries. We knew we wanted to visit the Tanneries ever since we watched the Departure series. The tannery was located a few steps from the square. We made our way using the signs and navigated through narrow passages. This one is called Shuada Tanneries, and it's one of the oldest. And in case you haven't heard, one of the smelliest places in Fez. For over 1,000 years, workers have been here tanning leather using the same traditional process. These pits may not look glamorous, but they're part of a living tradition. One that's fueled Morocco's reputation for high-quality leather goods. We were greeted upon arrival and led to the upper floor, which offered an overview of the vats. The courtyard is divided into 2 sets of stone vats. The white one's purpose is to soften the leather. And before stepping outside, we were handed a small sprig of mint leaf to mask the smell. And to give you a mental representation of the foul smell, just imagine overlooking containers filled with a mixture of cow urine, pigeon droppings, lime, salt, and water. I'm not sure who came up with that combination. But its purpose is to clean and soften animal hides by removing hair and fat. And you can imagine workers having to stand barefoot in these vats, often in extreme heat. A very demanding job doesn't even begin to describe it. And then there are the color vats, which are filled with natural dyes, including red from poppy flower, yellow from saffron or turmeric, brown from cedar bark, and blue from indigo. Once softened, hides are then dipped into these vats and laid to dry on rooftops or racks. While it's part of an ancient tradition, it does come with real health risks. And there's a growing conversation about how to preserve this art while protecting those who keep it alive. After witnessing the tanning process, Ellie and I made our way inside the shop and negotiated ourselves a few souvenirs. Before moving on to our next destination, we decided to take a short break in the square. And what better way to relax than with a refreshing mint tea? Our next destination was right in the heart of the Medina. There we stumbled upon a real hidden gem, the Nejjarine Museum of Wooden Arts and Crafts. Housed in an 18th century funduk or caravanserai, this beautifully restored building once hosted merchants and travelers. Today it's a museum that honors one of Morocco's proudest woodworking traditions. Inside you'll find stunning examples of Moroccan woodcraft. Everything from carved furniture and Berber locks to traditional tools and instruments. Each piece tells a story of craftsmanship passed down through generations. If you're visiting FES, definitely carve out some time for this museum, especially if you're into architecture, traditional arts, or just looking for a quiet escape from the Medina. Admission here was only about 20 dirhams, and it was worth every cent. We then continued onwards and tried to get a glimpse of the Al-Qarawiyyin Mosque University. And we recall circling the perimeter for a while with no end in sight. This is the oldest university in the world, still operating today. Unfortunately, as non-Muslims, we couldn't go inside. But just walking around its walls, we felt the quiet echo of 1,000 years of history. Our navigating around in circles eventually got us to reach the Saffarin place, where we heard the rhythmic sound of copperwork. Here is where you find the artisans still practicing century-old techniques. It's mesmerizing to watch, and you can buy pieces directly from them. The name Saffarin comes from the Arabic word of coppersmith, and it's been the heartbeat of metalwork in Fez for centuries. The sound of artisans hammering copper is like the soundtrack of the Medina itself. At this stage, we were overdue for lunch, so we left the Seffarine place in search for a restaurant. After walking a few hours and dodging more than a few sales pitches, we went in search for food. That's when we discovered the hidden Nayar restaurant. Great decor, relaxing vibe, and honestly, the break we needed. At the time of our visit, it was rated 4.4 on Google. We loved many things from this establishment: the multiple levels, the decor, and even more importantly, the food. We clearly needed to sit, recharge, and rehydrate. Luckily, since it was a little past lunchtime, it wasn't crowded at all. One of our main challenges here in Morocco has been to stay hydrated, and we struggled to find the right balance. We didn't want to overdrink for fear of having to find washrooms, and despite that, we couldn't drink enough to remain hydrated. It also didn't help that Morocco was experiencing a heat wave in October, something that even had locals shocked. After lunch, we roamed the Medina a little more before deciding to head back to our riad. which is when we were finally given the room we had originally booked. If you saw our last vlog, you know this check-in didn't go as planned. Once there, we cleaned up, prepared our luggage for our upcoming excursion, and later headed for dinner at a nearby restaurant. Next up, we're headed to the Sahara. Be sure to subscribe and follow along as we share our story about getting there. If you found this vlog helpful or entertaining, we'd love a thumbs up. Also, feel free to comment about your favorite destination in FES. Alright everyone, take care and I'll see you in the Sahara. Araka Kariban.